Well, we finally got the truth right from the horse's mouth.
May I say something in my defense?
Joe Biden admitted to the New York Times that he did not personally sign most of the pardons that we were led to believe that he granted. You know, the final days of Joe Biden's presidency in January 2025 marked not a graceful exit, but a brazen assault on the rule of law and the very foundations of our republic. In a flurry of executive clemency that reeked of desperation and cronyism, Biden unleashed thousands of pardons and commutations, many signed not by his own hand, but by an autopen machine operated by unelected staffers. This mechanized mockery of presidential authority granted blanket absolution to violent criminals, political allies, and even his own scandal-plagued son, Hunter Biden. And worse still, it preemptively shielded members of the January 6th Select Committee, figures like Adam Schiff, who stand accused of destroying evidence in their partisan witch hunt against President Trump and his supporters. This was no act of mercy. It was a calculated subversion of justice, a parting shot from an administration that prioritized power consolidation over constitutional fidelity. Biden's actions represent the rock bottom of democratic hypocrisy, a regime that weaponized the justice system against conservatives while absolving its own elite cadre, all while trampling the sacred pardon power vested solely in the president. At the heart of this outrage lies Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the United States Constitution, which states, "The President shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment." This authority is personal and non-delegable. It's a deliberate check entrusted to the chief executive alone to ensure accountability and prevent abuse. Yet Biden, in his waning hours, flagrantly violated this principle by allowing aides like Chief of Staff Jeff Zients to approve and execute mass clemencies via autopen. It's a device that replicates signatures without the president's direct involvement. In a revealing New York Times interview, Biden admitted, "I didn't approve each individual pardon," confessing that his staff handled the details while he merely set broad categories and standards for who qualified. He further defended the autopen's rampant use, insisting that he made every decision orally. But I don't even believe that, because Biden didn't have the cognitive ability to decide on such categories and standards.
Putin's kleptocracy, yeah.
Not to mention, he was laying on the beach when many of those pardons were signed. If the pardon power is the president's alone, how can nameless bureaucrats wield it? This delegation is unconstitutional on its face, transforming a solemn executive prerogative into a rubber stamp factory run by deep state operatives. It mocks the framers' intent, who designed the pardon as a tool for individualized mercy, not wholesale amnesty orchestrated by underlings to protect the regime's interests. Biden's approach, considering classes of criminals rather than evaluating each case on its own merits, further exposes the cynicism at play here. In January 2025, he, or his staff rather, pardoned nearly 2,500 nonviolent drug offenders en masse, along with thousands more in sweeping commutations for other categories like marijuana-related convictions. Biden's blanket method bypassed due diligence, freeing potentially dangerous individuals without scrutiny. This lazy categorical forgiveness wasn't about justice. It was about virtue signaling to progressive activists and emptying prisons to inflate Democratic turnout. But the true affront came in the pardons for his inner circle and political enablers, revealing a double standard that prioritizes the elite over everyday Americans victimized by crime. Why did Joe Biden sign Hunter Biden's pardon personally while leaving his staff to run wild with his autopen? This question cuts to the core of this corruption. In December of 2024, Biden hand-signed a full pardon for his son, absolving him of tax evasion, illegal gun possession, and influence peddling tied to foreign adversaries like China and Ukraine. This was the only clemency warrant in his final spree that Biden deigned to autograph himself, underscoring his personal investment in protecting family from accountability. Meanwhile, the autopen churned out forgiveness for others as if Hunter's sins were too egregious or politically toxic to entrust to the machine. This selective, hands-on approach reeks of nepotism, where the Biden crime family gets VIP treatment while the Constitution is fed through the shredder for everyone else. It's a stark illustration of how this administration operated. Rules for thee, but not for me and mine. And the pardons for January 6th committee members amount to high crimes against the American people, in my humble opinion. On his last day in office, Biden issued preemptive pardons to the entire panel, including key Democrats like Adam Schiff, Zoe Lofgren, and Pete Aguilar, as well as Republicans like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who sold out their party for media adulation. These pardons barred any future charges related to their work on the committee, a body that has been really exposed as a sham investigation that concealed and destroyed evidence to perpetuate the insurrection hoax. House Administration Subcommittee reports detail how the committee deleted encrypted files, withheld transcripts, and even collaborated with the Department of Defense Inspector General to bury exculpatory information about Capitol security failures and Trump's request for National Guard troops. Schiff, the committee's vice chair, was a serial fabricator. From his Russiagate lies to his role in January 6 scripted hearings, by pardoning these figures, along with cronies like Anthony Fauci and General Mark Milley, Biden not only preempted justice, but also rewarded the architects of a deep state coup attempt against President Trump. This isn't mercy, it's obstruction, shielding tamperers who erased evidence to jail innocent patriots while letting the real threats like Antifa infiltrators walk free. The Biden era ended just as it began, with contempt for the Constitution, favoritism for the corrupt, and a weaponized government against dissenters. His autopen spree, totaling over 4,000 clemencies, 96% in his final months, was a desperate firewall against accountability, delegating presidential power to aides in defiance of Article 2. It pardoned criminals by the batch, protected family with a personal flourish, and absolved evidence destroyers like Schiff, all to preserve the swamp that Trump has vowed to drain. This is the legacy of a failed administration, an affront to our founding document, a betrayal of justice, and a warning that democratic rule means rule by the elite at the expense of we the people. Conservatives must now hold these pardons to the fire, demand congressional nullification where possible, and ensure such abuses never stain the Oval Office again. A true republic demands no less.